Welcome back to this evening edition. This is a one-on-one. On Holocaust Remembrance Day, the most important thing one can do is quite simply to learn and remember. It is through those Holocaust survivors who went through hell and witnessed one of the darkest chapters in human history with their own eyes that memory can be preserved. Today we have with us one such Holocaust survivor, Dora Rot. Mrs. Dora Rot, thank you very much for coming, who was just 7 years old when Hitler invaded Poland and sent her and her family to the Warsaw Ghetto. During the war, Dora was sent to the concentration camp on Australian-Polish border. Today she's coming here to maybe tell us her story. Thank you very much for it. I know that this is not something that is easy, but
it has to be done.
But it has to be done.
That's true.
What is your strongest memory from
Hunger.
hunger? What do you remember from that?
That I was always hungry. 6 years. I was in the ghetto. Was less hunger. In the ghetto, sometimes for a lot of money or stealing, you could get another piece of bread, but not in concentration camp. So my memory, if you just ask me about the strongest memory, it must be hungry. In fact, I was once asked in United States to two schools which I spoke, and one of the children got up and said, "Mrs. Rot, what does it mean to be hungry?" It's a difficult question to answer because it's almost 70 years. And as older women, I wouldn't like to be fat, so sometimes I am on a diet. To ask me what does it mean to be hungry was a difficult question to answer, but I always have an answer, especially for children. So I told the little story, which is just a minute of a story, that I was so hungry that across the barrack, across the where I stayed, I didn't have any parents anymore. They were feeding, the Germans were feeding their dogs, and it was not allowed to open the door after 8 o'clock or something like that. But I did open the door and went to the plates of the dogs to take the bones and ran again to the thrift, to the barrack, and I said to this boy, it seems to me that the bones which the dogs already licked were better than your mother's brownie. That's what hunger means.
You know, this is not very easy to tell the memory from the Holocaust, to remember as a 6 years old what you passed there, what's your experience. And we find a lot of Holocaust survivors who find it very difficult to talk and speak about the experience and the memories and the bad, maybe horrible things that they passed there. What makes you so strong?
As we all know, the world knows, 1,500,000 Jewish children, among also non-Jewish, but I know about the Jewish children, died. Now the question is always put to me because I was 7 years old. When the war ended, I was 13. How is it that you survived? It's one of the questions that you just put to me. I think it's my strong character, my love for life, my optimism. It's a lot of things together. I was once faced. I spoke 32 years in the United States, and I spoke to a panel which had 2 priests, 2 rabbis, and 2 others. And I was asked a similar question. How is it that you survived? And because we have limited time also here, I just picked up a little story that I was before the gas chamber. I had a sister 10 years older. She was 3 women before me. And 2 Germans, which looked over the line to go to the gas chamber, looked at me. One said to the other, "Look at this rotten Jewish child. She's so beautiful." So the other German said to him, "She doesn't have to die yet." Took me by the collar and said, "Raus, get out." It's one of those little stories which is a mosaic of all those little stories why I survived, and others didn't. Sometimes because I had beautiful eyes, and sometimes because somebody had pity on me. Yes, in order to tell the story of a child that went into when she was 7 and went out when she was 13, shot by a German at the last day of the war with 2 bullets, lived through 4 operations, major operations. And then I got tuberculosis. 6 years I didn't eat enough as a child. That's what makes me different. The strengths that I had, and the willpower that I wanted one more time to live.
Exactly the sentence that you're saying, you wanted one more time to live.
Yeah.
At the last day, the day that's supposed to be the day of liberation.
I didn't see it because I was wounded. And the Russians came in the afternoon, and I was shot in the morning. And I was lying there full with blood, and the Russians came in and said, "Look, this child lives still." And they picked me up, and I was full with blood all over. And, with every army goes a field hospital. Every army has a field hospital. They brought me to the field hospital and started to give me probably enough blood and send me with a plane deep into Russia to have all those operations that I went through.
You went out when you were 13?
Yeah.
And your family?
Oh, everybody died except my brother, whom I didn't know if he survived or not.
You didn't see your brother?
No. Women and men were not in the same, even in the same concentration camp. But when we talk about survival, it's difficult for people that will listen to me. The question, how is it that 6 years to survive 6 years, not a few months, and in 6 years they had a lot of opportunities to kill me. And somehow, if you are a believer in God, then you say it's God's will.
Are you a believer in God?
I don't think that there are too many Holocaust survivors that believe. But I believe in good of the people. And the 2 Germans that didn't send me to the gas chamber, and my sister, yes, at those moments, they were good people. That's true that if I had to come to a trial when those 2 Germans, what could I say? They killed my sister, but they didn't kill me.
Do you still find goodness
in people?
In people?
Yeah.
Because these 2 people who planned to kill you, you still think that at that moment they were good people?
Yeah. At that moment, as we say in Hebrew, Rahmanut, which is pity, they said, they looked at this very good-looking child, very thin, no hair, but good, beautiful eyes, which I had once upon a time. They decided that I don't have to die yet. How do you explain it? It's not because in front of me was my sister. They were bad to her, but they were not bad to me because they took me out of the line to go to the gas chamber. But as I developed to be, I am already now over 80 years old, and the wisdom which I probably learned during all those years, being alone, being sick, being hungry, that people are good. It's difficult for me to say that the Germans were good. No, they were not good. But to me, sometimes they threw me a piece of bread. How do you explain it? It's a pity, it's goodness, it's what? You have to believe that in all the human beings there is something good in them. So this is how I believed it.
It's amazing to hear you saying what you're saying and experiencing this the way that you are describing it. But still, today you're at the Jewish land. You live here.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of anger.
I have a lot of anger. I wouldn't say to the Germans.
No. Towards Israel.
Towards Israel.
Let's say Israeli government.
All the Israeli governments, not only this one. I have it because I think that a lot of terrible things, terrible decisions came out, and I connected only with the Holocaust survivors. I'm not a politician. I don't know about politics at all. For me, politics, I don't understand it. I don't understand the fight for land. I do understand the fight for survival, land. But the Holocaust survivors that came here, they were greeted not by the very love for them. I myself have heard many times, you went like sheep to slaughter. And I was too stupid to answer. I said to myself, maybe I shouldn't say that I am from the Holocaust. Maybe I speak 7 languages. I could lie. I could say that I am from Switzerland, from wherever. I speak 7 languages. Because probably at that time, I don't think this now, I said maybe we didn't fight enough. But then I asked myself, I have seen in the ghetto coming tanks, German tanks. What could the people that were hungry, that lost their dearest, how could they fight? Today, our army, which I'm very proud of, they fight from strength. The Holocaust survivor there in the ghetto see 20 tanks. What could he do? You can't fight a tank. And yet, if you take the history, there were many ghettos where there was a fight against the Germans, but they never won.
Why do you think that the Israeli government
should have done?
What do you think that they should have done? And why do you think that you were something that they couldn't see? Holocaust survivors. How come today in Israel there are Holocaust survivors who are still hungry?
Oh, that is a question which I have put to the Prime Minister of Israel and to the Minister of Economy, Yair Lapid. And the anger which I have to them is that the Germans have sent the money for Holocaust survivors, not for anything else. And the money was used for other things. Now let's say that today there are Holocaust survivors, which I am over 80. So most of us are 90, if not more. Out of 7 million people that live here, 220,000 are Holocaust survivors. What is the difficulty to give to the 220,000 something which they can say, I am dying because they are dying. I mean, we don't live forever.
Yes.
In comfort.
And I will leave our viewers with this big question. Dora, well, thank you very much.
You are very
much
welcome.
for coming to
Very
our
welcome.
studio. And thank you, our viewers, for being with us tonight. Tomorrow we will be here at the same time, same place from the Jaffa Port, Israel. Have a great night.